It's Friday. Guess what that means? It is Business by Design Online's Feature Friday interview. I'm Katie Seven-Ance. Thank you so much for joining us today. I am excited to talk about this topic. Have you ever been in a room of women or men and your goal for your business is to get out there and network, and you start to sweat and you can feel the pressure coming and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I hate this. I hate being in a room. I know I need to do it for my business, but I'm just like feeling all the I just want to sit in my car instead. Or maybe you're the one who you get to a networking meeting and you're looking for new friendly faces, but everybody's in little cliques and you're like, how do I break into it? Or you get the business cards from 30 people and they never even said who they were. They just go, here, hi, how are you? And they give you their business card. Networking is a necessity when it comes to business, but there are some good ways of doing it and some not so good ways of doing it. And there are some basic etiquette things. There are some tips to know what's the right format for you to network in. So I want you to meet our guests today. I have two of my favorite people. I have Joy Morales and Brenda Sanchez, and they are here today to help share their tips with us on networking for your business. Good morning, ladies.
Good morning, Katie.
I'm so excited to have you guys here. It's always so fun. I love doing this. Linda, thank you, Linda. You're so sweet. So anyone in business, right, knows networking, or they should know. Networking is really a key part of your business. But tell us a little bit about how you guys came together to come up with this topic and these tips to help people in business when it comes to networking.
So Joy and I have known each other, well, all three of us have known each other for a long time. And Joy and I actually have been talking about this for more than 2 years probably. And we've talked about doing it and we're going to do a class, and then we didn't, and life happened, and we're finally coming together to be able to provide this content for people. So Joy, it's a joy working with you. Ha ha ha.
Well, we've been working on it for a long time. I mean, Brenda and I have been meeting every single week for months, trying to come up with strategies and tips to help women primarily network more effectively, because all of us have spent time and money on networking groups, but I don't know if we spend the time to analyze what our ROI is on those groups. And it's not just a one-way street, it's a two-way street. What am I getting to grow my business, and what am I helping other people to grow their business?
And I think let me ask you something, Joy, because this month our topic with Business by Design Online has been back to school, back to business, back to the basics. Networking is one of those key things, because if you don't have customers, you can't get anything done, right? Nothing's going to move. So networking can be done in a lot of ways, but yes, like Tony said, yeah, she's totally comfortable networking. No, nobody is born comfortable with that. And there are some people it's easier than others, but you're right. We go to a lot of networking thinking we got to get our business cards out to everyone. But like you were saying, sometimes you have to evaluate. If you're there just to hang out with your friends, you're not getting out of it, and you're not sharing with other people too. So I appreciate that. I think that's a topic that maybe no one spent a whole lot of time addressing too.
Well, and we wanted to, there's a lot of information out about networking, bad networking, good networking, what do you need to do? But one of the things that sets us apart is what is kind of your networking style, your profile. And I've been talking about this for a while because I could tell, and I'm kind of a numbers person. I always look at the end of the year, what's been effective for me. Katie, don't laugh.
I know, numbers. I know. Thank God I have you in my life.
And, am I getting value for my time? And I think COVID has even pressurized that more, that we have to be so effective and intentional with our time. And I started tinkering with the idea of where am I most effective in my networking? What time of day? what group, what kind of structure of it. And that's kind of how this idea was born for Brenda and I to get together, because Brenda is a master networker. And I said, for me, I'm not a master networker. And it's something I've really had to work on over the last couple of years. And what's been effective for me. And that's how kind of this idea was born of creating a profile.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like this. Tell me more about this, because Brenda, I know you are we've had you on before. You are the master at relationship building, but networking is a big part of that. So share some thoughts about this coming together, because this course, I'm so excited for this course release. I know it's not coming out until September, but you guys, this is going to really help you figure out the best ways of networking and where to network to. But what are some other things they're going to learn working with you guys?
So one of the things they're going to learn, like Joy said, is their networking profile, but not just who they best network with or what time of day, but the different structures of networking, because you can be in a highly structured, like a BNI, or you can be in a very unstructured, like a meetup, like a chamber type of event. And depending on your personality and your business style, one may fit much better over the other. And we also want to teach you that maybe you're very comfortable in a chamber because it's social and that's what you're more comfortable with. But is it where your ideal clients are hanging out?
Big part of that.
Yeah, exactly. Because if your clients aren't there, it doesn't do you any good to go to that networking event. And we tend to stay inside our comfort zones.
Mm-hmm.
And when we stay inside our comfort zones, we don't grow. And so we're going to teach you how to stretch that comfort zone a little bit, but find a way to be comfortable even in the uncomfort. So teach you how to network effectively, even if it isn't your ideal environment, if it's where your ideal client is.
That's really good. I like that. Joy, why did you put this together? I mean, because you didn't like networking and you want to learn, what was really the idea behind you guys coming together with this whole thing?
Well, it's funny because Brenda and I, even before we started on this project, we met pretty regularly, and I really asked her a lot about her business, and I was surprised. One of the things I was surprised to find out is she does everything on referrals. And I was like, you never cold call or, make cold initiate conversations. And she's like, no, I do everything by referral. And that started the conversation about how is that even possible? Because for my business, when I got into business, I had to do cold calling. I had to knock on doors. I had to go meet people. I didn't want to necessarily knock on their door. So that's kind of how the conversation started. And we just started brainstorming, talking about, what worked for me. And I said, I know when it's this set of circumstances, I do very well. I'm comfortable. Like, I'm a morning person. I get up early. I like to work out. I'm a morning person. I'm ready to go. By 5:00, not so much. I'm tired. I want to get home. I want to have dinner. I don't want to talk to anybody. Let's be real. I don't want to talk to my spouse. I don't want to talk to my kids. I want an hour to myself. So that is not my prime networking time. And I thought, how many of us go to events that we have no plan in place of who we need to meet and why?
Yeah.
We have no plan in place on, is this the right event, or is this just something that I should go to? We have no plan on follow-up. And that those three components, are you in the right place for you? Do you have an intention when you go, and do you follow up when you're there? That was the cornerstone of us working together, because, I'm social. I mean, if it's got all the components, I'm thrilled. I'm not necessarily focusing on getting more business. I'm happy to see my friends. I haven't seen you in a couple of months. I want to chit chat,
months.
get caught up. Well, that's called friendship and not networking per se.
Oh yeah.
And
Yes.
I do that a lot. So, so that's kind of how it started between us. Of how can we be more effective with our time, grow our business in that type of environment that's right for us.
I
Yeah,
love
and
that.
I want to set the record straight, Katie, because everybody thinks I'm a master networker and I'm a natural at this and I've always been good at it. But I was just like Joy. I was just like anybody else. I was in corporate America and got out and had to learn how to network. I just think that I learned early on where I was most effective, but I still find myself just like Joy. If Katie's in the room and Joy's in the room and Phoenix is in the room, who am I going to talk to? Phoenix, Joy, and Katie. Now that doesn't mean that business doesn't come out of it, but if I have a strategy to go to the networking event and I know that there are 2 or 3 people or 2 or 3 things that I need to accomplish, and then I can go chit chat and have all the fun with all of my friends. Now I've had the social that I want, but I've also grown my business. So it's that balance of being able to do both, but still grow your business.
I think that's really key because sometimes with networking, it's not an immediate, oh my gosh, I want what you have. It is, I really like you. I have met you month after month. I like how you do business. I like how you treat people. If I know someone who's looking for what you've got, I'm going to refer them. So it may not be that immediate, who you come in contact with, but when they like how you do business and how you treat people, that's who I'm going to refer. So I know we'll talk about this because I know there are some networking groups that I'm not comfortable in for different reasons. And so I can't wait to hear your tips because this is all about sharing tips that we can use today. So for those of us who've got sweaty palms because, oh my gosh, people are starting to get together again. Some people are still online and that's a good comfort zone. But, people are starting to connect again. Maybe we have a mask on, but it's still, we're getting out there because business still needs to be done. So can you guys share with us a tip that we can share with our audience?
Well, I'll start. I would say one tip is communication. I mean, that's another thing that we don't talk about. What do you say that's engaging to someone else where they're going to remember you, where they're going to want to do business with you? Or is it just, oh, this is what I do. What do you do? Blah, blah, blah. It's not fun. They're not going to remember you. So I want you to think about how you communicate to start an engaging conversation. There's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and I'm not talking about the negative things, I'm talking about the positive things that you can start a conversation that would spark, someone would remember you, someone would say, gosh, I really like her. And second to that is make it fun.
Yeah.
I think we don't have fun with it. And if we have fun with it, then people are going to remember you and want to work with you.
Oh my gosh, if I hear one more canned elevator intro, it's like, okay, tell me more about you. Who are you? What are you going to bring to me? What can I expect from you? But if I just hear, where they rattle off, yes, you should probably have a pretty good memorization of what you want to say, but relate with each other, right? Like have a conversation and not just the one-sided, let me get my 30 seconds in before you talk.
Exactly.
Yeah, and not just passing out business cards and give your pitch and on to the next person. And it's about connecting intentionally and authentically. And that's kind of what Joy was talking about, is having a conversation with the person and getting to know them, getting to know their problems, and solving their problems, even if that is not you in your product or service. So it's about being the connector and connecting to somebody else. So maybe Katie says to me, I've had a terrible week. My plumbing is, my toilet's backed up or whatever. And then it's giving you the name of a good plumber that you can rely on. Or my air conditioner just went out recently and it was out for 3 weeks. So, if I'm out talking to somebody and they're like, oh my God, I got the guy or I got the gal for you.
Right.
That's what it's about, because when you become the connector and you solve their problems, eventually they're going to want to know what you do.
Right.
And how you can solve their problems. And the second part of that, Katie, is the conversation doesn't end at the networking event.
Thank you.
The fortune is in the follow-up. You can't just go to a networking event and meet a few people and expect business to happen out of it. It's about following up. It takes, they say, 7 to 12 contacts to make a sale. And so we're going to teach in the class how to do that without being a pesky salesperson, because that's why nobody likes to follow up.
Right.
They don't want to be pesky. They don't want to seem like a salesperson. Well, we're going to give you a simple way to follow up that is very natural, non-salesy, and your prospects then start leaning into you and asking you questions.
See, and that's the goal, right? Everyone has to start somewhere. But
Right.
if you can learn some good skills right off the bat so that you feel comfortable and you're in it for them, not in it for yourself, when you can shift that I'm here to help other people instead of just get my card out to as many people as I can, things change. You listen differently, don't you think? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So how about another tip?
Well, I guess I would say my next tip would be, when you're at a networking event, to position yourself correctly. You don't want to be around people when they're trying to get their food and they're trying to manage their drink and they're juggling 3 or 4 things. You don't want to position yourself there and try to have a conversation, because then you're just annoying people. You don't necessarily want to jump at people when they come right through the door because they're stressed coming in. If they're late, they don't know if they're in the right place. They don't know if they're going to know anybody. So you want to give people a little bit of time to kind of settle in to the room. So you want to position yourself where people are relaxed and want to have a conversation. And I think that happens. So, I mean, that's one of the things that annoy me, is people are standing around the food table and trying to talk when other people are trying to get there. So be smart and considerate of where you are when you're at the event, because there's time to network and have a conversation. So be in tune with what that looks like.
I think that's good. But also you want to be welcoming when there's someone new that comes in the door, too, so that they do feel that they can be invited in, just not pounced on right off the bat.
Exactly.
Yeah, you want to be friendly, but not overbearing, I guess.
Yeah. And we all know somebody who's that way. We all know that one person that you just dread introducing your new guest to that person, because you're just like, oh my gosh. So yeah.
You know what I mean? Just give me a second to get acclimated to where I'm at. And I'm sure, there's always those people and their intentions are good, but realize, like, it's stressful if you're coming to a new event or coming to a new place, or traffic was bad on your way, or you had a bad phone call in your car, or the 10 million other things that could have happened before you walked in the room.
Yeah.
Be mindful that person might just need a minute to get settled. Because, for me, my sweet spot is 30 to 35 people. I mean, I'm very comfortable. In a room of 100, I'm a little, do I know anybody? And can I find anybody? And, I'm a little more stressed. So I think so often that we just don't position ourselves in a place to be open to a conversation.
Yeah. All right. I have a question for you, both of you. How do you know if you're a good networker? How do you know if this is how do you know the right place to be?
So, we've already talked about a few of them. If you get sweaty hands, like if you find that you're vomiting all over people, you're
Don't network.
not a good networker. Are you asking questions? Is it all about the other person or is it all about you? Joy's going to share a few too, because she's got some good ones.
Well, it's funny because we put together a sheet of, do you know if you're a good networker or not? And I think it's just something that we do, but we don't think about and we don't analyze. If we're investing money and our time, I was surprised. Let me say it this way. I was surprised how much time and money I spent in networking groups. And I started making decisions, and I'm not going to rejoin that group because it really, either the time or the number of people or whatever the circumstance wasn't a good fit for me. So I saw that my networking got better as it fit more my style. So I think that's part of the problem of we just go to go. So I would say one of the things you need to do is spend a little time on that. And what we mentioned before about, do you know who your ideal client is and are you meeting them? So my ideal client might be X and I'm talking to A, B, and C. Right. So, there's plenty of ways to research if your ideal client is going to be there. And you should spend a little bit of time to do that. Because if you're spending your time and your money in a networking group, you're already invested. So take that extra step and make it pay off to say, okay, I know this person is going to be there and I need to meet them. And I don't mean like attack them. I mean, meet them, talk to them, or make a connection with them, because at least you're laying the framework or the foundation to be successful and grow your business, because this is a long-term play. It's not a short-term one and done. So it's great money spent if you're in the right place and your ideal client is there. So, we break it down in if you're a good network on before the event, during the event, and after the event. And you might be a good networker in the beginning, before the event. You might not be so good during the event, and you might just suck because you don't follow up. I mean, let's be real. Most of us don't. I suck at follow up. So, kind of take an analysis of where you need to improve is only going to make you a better networker.
That's really good, because that was something that I learned, and I started implementing scheduling a couple hours after an event, if not that day, the next day, because sometimes you're worn out, depending on what time of day you're networking and what kind of environment you're worn out. But by the next day, or at least within 2 days, have that time blocked out on your calendar and reach out to everybody that you met. It doesn't have to be, hey, by the way, don't forget here's what I sell, but the connection, right? Share a little more, talk a little more, ask more questions, connect. I think that's really key, because I did not ever schedule that follow-up time. And I think that's part of it. You're like, oh, I have all these leads. Who doesn't have that box of business cards on their desk that they've done nothing? And I always think, I'm going to follow up. I'm going to. And then I look at it 5 years later and you're like, okay, that would be ridiculous.
Well, and you set yourself apart if you do, because so few do. Right. Honestly, that's why Brenda and I started working together, and she'll tell you that, because she always followed up with me. When I say I suck at it, I mean I suck at it. And I actually hired a coach, went through a program. I'm better than what I was. But the people who do follow up they stand out, right? Tenfold. because they do. And it doesn't have to be a big deal on follow up. I mean, just being friends on Facebook and commenting on what they say,
Yes.
it's a way to start building a relationship. I mean, it doesn't have to be this big dramatic thing, but it does have to be something.
Yeah, it's not here's a tip for everybody watching. Follow up isn't always picking up the phone and calling somebody. If this is 10,000 pounds and you don't want to pick it up, it's okay. We're going to teach you ways to follow up that you don't have to pick up the phone. Picking up the phone is great, but there's lots of ways to follow up. And, Joy said it. The majority of people, 99% of business owners suck at follow up.
Yeah.
They really do. They hate it.
That's horrible, isn't it? Because we know how important it is.
There's only 10% of businesses that do follow up well. And when I say follow up well, they reach out more than 3 times. There's only 10% of businesses that will reach out more than 3 times. So if you reach out more than 3 times, guess what? You're in the top percentage and you're doing really good. Because I'm not really good at follow up either, but I fake it till I make it. And I have systems in place that allow me to do follow up and save time, because that's what we all want to do as business owners, is we want to save time and we want to make more money. And one of the reasons why we don't do follow up is we think it's going to take a ton of time to do it. And that's why we avoid it.
Right.
But just a tiny, tiny bit will set you apart from everybody else.
Yeah.
I love that. And in the course, are you going to share different ways of creating those systems so that it's super easy? And we just, like you said, I know it costs way more to get new customers than it does to keep your current customers happy and coming back. So if you're going to invest your time, that is a really good investment, is to invest in follow-up. But in the course, are there some things that are going to help us become better at our follow-up systems as well?
Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're, I think, going to do, Joy and I are already talking about, because follow-up is so critical, that there will be a follow-on class to what we're doing on networking, because follow-up in itself is a whole class in itself. So we're going to teach you the basics of follow-up in this class in networking, and then you'll have an opportunity to get more in depth with us later on. Not sure when that class will be released, but soon to follow afterwards, I think.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about the class, how they can get signed up. When are they going to see this class, this networking workshop?
Well, we're just finishing up the workbook because we're trying to address all different types of learners. I'm a paper person. That might be because of my age, but I'm not saying. So we're doing a workbook too. So those who are less inclined to listen to all the course and want to have paper in their hand where you have an associated workbook, that's going to be done next week. So we're going to release the course right after Labor Day. We want you to kind of assess where you're at in terms of networking. We have a quick little worksheet to say, do you do this? Do you do this? And then you add it up so we know where you start. And then you can go to our website, businessbydesign.online, and enroll in the course. And then you're on your way.
Awesome. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it because I know you guys have been working on this for a while, and it's so key. When you talk about back to basics, like, let's get this figured out. And I know as women, we network different than men as well. Let's be real. I mean, you might be in a man's field or whatever they want to call it. That stuff is changing. So we need to know how to relate to people in different ways. And we need to know what's comfortable for us so that we're not panicky and having sweaty palms and, getting all freaked out the minute we know we have to go to a networking event. So I'm excited to see what you guys put together and get on the next step.
This has been a long time in the making. We wanted to do something different, that of material that's already out there, and we kind of feel like we have some stuff that will get you set up for success based on who you are and how comfortable you are. You know, I had a principal that worked for me for several years, and she would crack me up because she could cold call like nobody's business, but she couldn't go to a networking event. And I'm thinking, how is that even possible? And when I witnessed it, I was like, how can you call people on the phone or interact with businesses cold, but in a networking format, you you struggle? And she's like, that's just who I am. And I thought, you need to be in your space that's comfortable for you, and you'll fly. And that's the premise that we start.
I love
Yeah,
it.
because it's definitely Joy has very different background than I do, and we have so much fun together and learning from each other, because there are people, like she said, that can cold call all day long. My husband's one of those. Is he didn't realize it, but he picked up the phone and started cold calling businesses, and he's like, I can do this. And it's because he doesn't know the person on the other end of the phone. He doesn't have a relationship with them. So he doesn't care what the outcome is.
That
And
takes a lot of work and practice
Yeah.
to not care about the outcome. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
yeah. So cold calling makes it a little easier to not be attached to the outcome than if it's Katie, I'm picking up the phone, and if Katie says no to me, do I take it personally, or is it just
Right.
my product or service isn't right for Katie?
At that moment. Yeah, you never know. You just don't know. But one of the things I love about networking is it's a skill, and we can learn skills, right? It's not, you aren't necessarily born being amazing at it. It's something that you can learn. And so I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. And that's only like a week away. You know that, right?
yeah.
That's so exciting. That's going to be fun. So we're excited about that. And I know you talked a lot about making sure your ideal client is at that particular networking event, or it's going to lead you to that. And that is one of our courses that we have up right now called The Ideal Client, Identifying Your Ideal Client. That's where everything begins, right? You can't even put your product together until you know who you're selling it to. Who is that ideal client? So if you've maybe gotten confused and you need to refocus on who your ideal client is, that might be a really good quick course that you can do right now to get yourself set up. So when this networking course is out, you are ready for that. Ladies, thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate it. And I think we need to post the link to businessbydesign.online so they can learn more about your course. And if they have questions, and you guys are up for taking some questions, feel free to put your information in the comments so that people can connect with you and take the next step.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie.
Yeah, have a great Friday, and I hope you all have a fabulous weekend. Thanks for joining us at Business by Design Online for Feature Friday. Bye.
Bye.